So I'm excited today. I'm out here at the local driving range, and I'm heading in actually to use their Trackman. Um, I got some distances that I want to nail down. I'm now hitting a lot further than I was, and I don't know how far my pitching wedge goes anymore. So I want to figure that out, and at the same time, I'm going to test out a lighter swing. It's come to my attention I've been swinging too hard, and that might be leading to some of the inconsistencies. So I want to try and figure out what is that 70%, 80% swing that'll do me good. So we're about to head in. Let's see how we do today. I took video from several angles here, but as you can see, they didn't quite do it justice. So instead of the video that I had taken, I'm going to go ahead and show a couple of the swings that Trackman themselves had recorded. Along with that, we'll look at a few of the data points, look at the dispersion and the lessons that I learned from my time using the Trackman. It was a really cool experience and I had a blast in here. Starting off, we're going to look at the approach wedge. In this case, from left to right, the interesting things are it's just over 100 yards, which isn't the furthest that this club goes. It usually goes something more around 110 to 115. But decent smash factor. Club speed is interesting at 83. That puts it on the higher side for the shortest club in the bag. And face angle and club path are going to be the really interesting ones through this session. What we're seeing here is face angle is pretty darn straight, and club path is fairly close to zero. Ideally, that's what you want. You want those two to kind of balance out so that you end up firing it almost completely straight. The dispersion on this result was pretty great, maybe about 5 yards to the right. This second shot with the wedge is about the same. A little bit short, with the face angle close-ish to zero. Club path is a little bit greater, and this one is about 8 or 10 yards to the right. So still some work to do, but all in all, great shot. The dispersion on my approach wedge is still not the best, but not bad. And this is what I want to see through all of my clubs, that I've got no more than a 10-yard dispersion right or left. That would be incredible. The more interesting part of this session was looking at the longer irons. So let's take a look at the 6-iron first. You can see a quick glance at dispersion, which shows a lot of range, anywhere between 150 and 200 yards, with most of them leveling off at about 185. And some pretty wide dispersion. Let's take a look at a few shots. This was one of my best swings with the 6-iron. You can see the distance there at 180 yards and a club head speed of about 93. So I'm considering moving up to stiff or extra stiff shafts, but that probably won't happen until the spring. But looking at the two instigators here, the face angle and the club path. So face angle was negative. That means that the club face is closed at the time of impact, shooting the ball to the left. And then the club path was positive, which means that I've got a little bit of a slice on this. All told, that evens it out, and it made it a pretty straight shot. That said, it'd be nice if both of those were a little bit smaller numbers, you know? And this was one of my worst 6-irons of the day. Despite the distance, it ended up being 40 yards right. If you look at that face angle, 7.6, that is a wide open face. And having a 2-degree club path means that that was started 7.5 degrees right and then sliced another 2 degrees. So this is well off, and because this is a 6-iron that goes 180 yards, it ended up being a 40-yard slice. You're going to start to see a pattern here. Hybrids have notoriously been the worst part of my game, and I think this dispersion chart shows you why. Does it go 160 yards or does it go 240? You tell me. Here are two shots that exemplify my 4 hybrid. This was a really long shot. 233 yards total, 222 carry with a 4 hybrid is huge. That's a 1.49 smash factor. That was awesome, and yet it was actually quite terrible. Negative 4.9 face angle means it went straight off to the left. That was a hard pull.
And negative 2.1 club path also means a hook. So this was a pull hook that landed probably some 45 yards to the left. It was horrendous. It's interesting to note the launch angle as well, as launch was only 12 degrees, dynamic loft of 15. But this club is 20 degrees on the face itself. That's not good. That means that I'm attacking -7 down, something like that. Our second shot fared marginally better. The yardage was much more appropriate, 182 yards, and the face angle was in this case open 5.5 degrees with the club path to the left 1 degree. That meant that even though it started way right, it did come back a little bit. Even so, this thing landed 35 yards to the right. And the loft is much better on this one. This is the kind of shot that I would like to see, except actually go straight. So we definitely have a lot of work to do. There's some inconsistency on the face angle. That is the primary reason for inconsistency with this club. So if we look together at like all of the 4 hybrids, what you're going to see are a couple of things. There's a massive inconsistency in distance, right? Like, generally speaking, this goes at least 180 yards, but it could go up to 220. Not only that, but the dispersion ranges from 40 yards to the left to 40 yards to the right. This could either massively hook or massively slice. On top of that, I just showed you 2 separate shots that had a face angle like completely closed and firing straight left, and another one completely open and firing straight right. And yet here on the averages, it shows just a 1.1 degree favoring the right, with a -2 getting it back as a draw. If that shot happened every time, this club would be amazing. But it doesn't, because of the inconsistencies in my setup. So that's the big thing. While my irons tend to go left because I close the face when I use the forward shaft lean, in this case, I don't always do that. And my hybrids tend to rest on the ground with an open face. That's what I learned here. I need to be more consistent in my setup to make sure that the face of the club is actually facing the target, is actually perpendicular to my target when I begin my swing.
So looking at the dispersion, it's kind of disappointing to see, honestly. It's all over the place. What I'm seeing most is that my face angle's off, my club to path is a little bit off, and really that my wedges are the best part of my game, which is really frustrating because honestly they're pretty okay. But there's a lot of work to do. All in all, I had a blast in there. It was 157 shots in just 1 hour. I learned a lot, and I discovered primarily that I need to figure out this consistency in my setup so that I can actually discover a shot shape, because that's what I don't have right now. I don't have a shot shape, and that's what I want. So coming up soon, you'll see my first round after my Trackman. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you did. Have a great day.